What is your go-to joke when somebody asks you to tell one? An Irishman walks into a bar and orders 3 pints of Guinness. He takes them to a table and takes a drink from each one, alternating cups until all of them are empty. He comes back the next week and does the same. 3 pints and takes a drink from each until they are all gone. The third time he comes in, the barman, curious, asks why he drinks like that. Oh, it's for my brothers. We live all over the world and don't get to see each other very often. Doing this feels like we are all together once a week. That's lovely, says the barman and wishes him well. This continues for several years and the Irishman becomes something of a celebrity as the story circulates among the other regulars. Until one night, the man comes in and orders 2 pints. A hush falls over the bar as they watch him take his drinks and continue alternating like always but with a pint missing. The barman, who first asked him about the tradition, feels compelled to go over. I'm so sorry for your loss, he says, pointing at the pints. Confused, the Irishman looks at him before laughing and saying, No, we're all fine. I just gave up drinking. Did you know that before the invention of the crowbar, crows just drank at home? A sheep farmer has a talking dog. One day he asks it to get all his sheep into the pen. A little while later the dog says, Job's done, all 40 sheep accounted for. 40? I have 36 sheep, not 40, the farmer says. The dog replied, I know, I rounded them up. A man is walking through the woods when he finds a suitcase. Curled up under the suitcase are a fox and 4 cubs. He immediately calls animal control to report what he found. Oh no, that's terrible, says the animal control worker. Are they moving? I dunno, says the man, but I guess that would explain the suitcase. I told my doctor, I broke my arm in 3 places. He told me that I should stop going to those places. What's the difference between a rectal thermometer and an oral thermometer? End number X200B. The taste. End number X200B. Doctor goes to write a note, and pulls a thermometer from his pocket. He says, great, some asshole has my pen. A man walks into his son's room. He says, Son, if you keep masturbating you're going to go blind. The son goes, I'm over here, Dad. One day, a man is waxing the car with his son. His son looks up and says, You know you can use a rag for this, right? What's the difference between a hippo and a zippo? One's really heavy and one's a little lighter. A limbo champion walks into a bar. He was disqualified. Deleted. What do you get when you drop a grand piano down a mine shaft? A flat miner. Took my kids to the zoo and all they had was this little dog. It was a Shih Tzu. I bought my friend an elephant for his room. He said, thank you. I said, don't mention it. Did you hear about the guy that dipped his balls in a jar of glitter? Pretty nuts, right? What screams I'm a man-child but nobody realize it. Their explosive emotions are valid, even when exaggerated, but yours are never, and you're just dramatic. Never apologizing. Never being wrong. They have extremely strict morals and principles when citing them will get them out of doing something. They will drop all morals and principles when ignoring them will get them out of doing something. Not learning how to perform basic domestic tasks like laundry, dishes, etc. If they make an active decision not to learn those things, it just tells me they want a mommy and not a partner. 3 children stacked on top of each other, in a trench coat. They talk at people without listening or sense of empathy and get quick to anger when called out. When he refers to watching his own kids as babysitting or acts like it's a favor. Screeching down a neighborhood in the evening. Currently moving out of the apartment I share with my boyfriend because he is jealous of my dog, the one I had for years before we started dating. It started off with little things and has escalated to the dog needing to be in a cage 24/7 or I get the silent treatment. Good riddance, fucker. Feeling the need to outman the other men you are around. Lack of respect for people doing things for them, even when paid. Being short or rude to servers/staff, not saying thank you and please, etc. Thankfully, this is usually easy to spot on first dates. Everybody but the man-child in question will notice this. Never owning up to your mistakes, and constantly blaming someone/something else for them. I'm an alpha. Alpha, beta, sigma nonsense. Every so often a big thread comes up from a guy 17 to 25 moving into his first place on his own and looking to start bringing lady friends home, asking for suggestions of what to put in the apartment to make it welcoming to women. This is not man-childish, it's fine and good. There was one I can recall where either the OP or probably just some really invested commenter was angry at most of the suggestions, in particular one suggesting multiple blankets, an extra pillow, and an extra towel in the event a woman slept over. But that's just catering to her? Why should a guy have things in his apartment just to cater to her? While it's rarely expressed so directly, it's an attitude I see in bitter, lonely man children a lot. Why should I do anything for you if it's not something I want? Doesn't matter if the action is as mundane as own 2 towels or if they want something from the person they're catering to. Women should just sleep with them but not expect comfort or entertaining dates. Employers should just give them jobs and fat paychecks, they shouldn't need things like qualifications or hard work. Friends should just loan them money and entertain them on a dime, but never ask them for anything. Which famous person descended from their pinnacle the quickest, hardest, and most destructively? Rolf Harris. You probably need to be an Australian of a particular generation, but damn this guy. It's kind of our version of Bill Cosby, in that it was absolutely shocking and meant a lot of stuff we identified with became tainted. Edit Cosby. Jared Fogle, the subway guy. The things discovered about him are quite disturbing. Prison is an appropriate place for him. Oscar Pistorius, for example, had a rather fast transition from Paralympic champion and role model to spouse killer. Len Bias. He was compared to Michael Jordan and was drafted by the Boston Celtics on June 17, 1986. Went to Boston on June 18 to sign his draft deal and signed a $1.6 million product endorsement deal with Reebok. Came home and celebrated his achievements by snorting cocaine and dying of an overdose the next day. I haven't seen him mentioned here, but U.S. Congressman Gary Condit. He was considered one of the favorites for the Democratic presidential nomination in 2000, but a woman on his staff, Chandra Levy, went missing. In the investigation, it turned out that he was being looked at as a person of interest because he had been having an extramarital affair with the woman, who later turned up dead, having been murdered by someone unrelated. The affair mixed with the investigation, where he had initially lied about being involved with her, essentially destroyed his political career. O.J. Simpson. Anne Boleyn. Went from Queen of England to losing her head in 3 years. Aaron Hernandez. Played tight end for the New England Patriots. Fresh off a new contract. Killed his friend, found guilty, then took his own life during the appeal. CeeLo Green went from the voice to people who have really been raped remember in 6 months. Bill Cosby. Kevin Spacey. Chris Benoit. What happened was quickest, hardest, and most destructive. First, Benoit strangled Nancy. The next day, he smothered Daniel with a pillow having administered Xanax to him. Then, a day after that, Benoit went downstairs to his home gym, tied a cable around his neck and committed suicide. Over a 3-day period Benoit went from a famous wrestler to murder-suicide. Lance Armstrong. After Seinfeld, Michael Richards destroyed his career with that infamous stand-up appearance where he was trying to do edgy comedy like Sam Kinison and just ended up yelling the N-word over and over. Robin Thicke went from a decade-defining hit to selling 55 copies of his Creep album in Australia in no time at all.